Capital News tonight. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa directs Procurement Board to take stern action against executives who violate procurement procedures. "34 Ethiopian nationals arrested in Simiyu region for illegal entry into the country." And in sports, the national under-20 team finishes second in the Sekafa under-20 competition after losing by 4 goals to 1 to Uganda. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Nasma Mwambe. Let's get started with the national news. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has directed leaders and executives of the Procurement and Supplies, Professionals and Technicians Board to take action against executives who continue to steal government funds through the procurement process. He gave the directives in Arusha when opening the 11th Conference of Procurement and Supplies Professionals.
Ushahidi kuwa baadhi ya wataalamu waliosajiliwa na bodi uwezo wao wa kitaalamu kusimamia mnyororo wa thamani kwenye ununuzi wa umma.
I'm aware of this because I've done a lot of visits to local government authorities and municipal councils to assess projects, and a lot of people have failed to give explanation for work done. PPRA report in 2018-2019 shows that out of 131 evaluated projects, 39 have elements of corruption.
Katika kufyeka vichaka vya wizi na ubadhirifu na rushwa na hata ufisadi.
In addressing theft and embezzlement and corruption in procurement, we've carried out inspection in some municipal councils, and what we have discovered is not good. A major challenge has been that the board period had expired, and it has been over a year now.
Changamoto hii imekuwa kubwa kiutendaji kwa taasisi yetu kwa sababu kwa mujibu wa sheria iliyoanzisha bodi, hata mitihani ambayo inafanyika haiwezi kutangazwa mpaka bodi iridhie.
The police force in Simiyu district, in collaboration with the immigration department, has arrested 34 Ethiopian nationals after entering the country illegally.
Tunaona hapa ni raia wa Ethiopia. Idadi yao ni 34, wamekamatwa leo.
We have 34 Ethiopian illegal immigrants who were arrested by our immigration officers working with the police. They came from Kenya en route to Malawi.
Tunatoa wito kwa wananchi wote wa mkoa wa Simiyu katika wilaya.
We urge all Simiyu residents to be careful and be vigilant of all visitors coming in, so they know what it is that they have come to do.
Kwa wageni wote wanaoingia kwenye maeneo yao.
Tanzania Investment Center has started to implement directives given by President Dr. John Pombe Magufuli during the opening of the 12th Parliament, which include issuance of investment permits within 14 days, as well as shifting from the Prime Minister's office to the President's office.
Tumekubaliana kimsingi kwamba mwekezaji anapokuja nchini.
We've agreed that when an investor comes into the country, even for internal investors, must think about business. Other matters that previously were challenging, we've decided to deal away with as much as possible.
Wawekezaji iwe ni kwa kutokujua au kwa sababu nyingine ambazo tusijui.
Investors, be it knowingly or unknowingly, or for other unknown reasons, there has been a challenge in document presentation which causes delays in the processing.
Baliana kimsingi kwamba maombi yote yanapokuwa yamefika tu.
We've agreed in principle that all applications, once we receive them as the Ministry of Land, we will process them within 14 days.
Wote kuhakikisha kwamba wawekezaji wanafuata taratibu za TBS.
The government has allocated 4 billion shillings for rehabilitation of Jangwani Bridge in Dar es Salaam in order to address the problem of flooding during rain seasons, while procedures continue for the construction of a 300 meters bridge.
mikakati yake ipo ya muda mfupi.
There are short and long-term plans. Long-term plans concern us more as the ministry, but there are also short-term recommendations.
Teknolojia mpya ya kuhakikisha kwamba barabara.
There is a new technology on heavy goods vehicle. Past standards were low compared to the current situation because we now have a lot more traffic.
Za ujenzi kwa jumla zinapanda, zinakuwa juu sana.
In a lot of rivers in Dar es Salaam, there is erosion from upstream to downstream.
Mambo yamepunguza zile gharama.
Coast Regional Commissioner Engineer Everest Ndikilo has suspended removal of machinery and spares being implemented by Hussein Cement Company, which had brought a Rhino Cement Company in Mkuranga Coast region after deciding to move the factory to Tanga contrary to the buying contract.
Kama kuna zoezi linaendelea la kuhamisha vipuli, kuhamisha mitambo, kuhamisha mashine.
If there is any exercise to move tools, equipment and plants from Mkuranga to Tanga should be stopped because we don't know if there has been a failure to resolve issues from Mkuranga.
Mtazame mkataba wao wa mauzo baina ya wawekezaji wetu wapya.
We must look at the contract of sale between the new investors and those they purchased from to see terms of agreement. I had hoped that TRA, rather than charging 20% on capital gains tax, they could consider between 0 to 10%. It would be fair on us.
Ingekuwa very fair kwa upande wetu, lakini sasa wametoka pale wameenda moja kwa moja kwenye kiwango cha mwisho kabisa.
President of Zanzibar and the chairman of the Level Regional Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, has assured United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, that his government will ensure children in Zanzibar get their basic rights. Dr. Mwinyi gave the assurance when he met with the resident representative of UNICEF, Shalini Buhaguna.
To look into the real issues, what are the problems. The good news is that we have some success stories from the infant.
Everything you said in your speech, we can make it, actually come true. Because if people are healthy, we'll be able to achieve the goals you've set.
Some residents from Tunduru District, Ruvuma region have complained that the district hospital has been charging them cash amounting to as much as 20,000 shillings for delivery services, being forced to share beds as well as lack of medicine in the hospital. They expressed their concern when political committee of the district visited Tunduru District Hospital.
Sisi wana mama wajawazito tunavyoenda kujifungua kule maternity, tuliambiwa kujifungua ni bure.
We were told that delivery is free for expectant mothers, but we are charged 15 to 20,000. The room is full and 2 people share a bed, and some are told to look for a place to sleep. I have spent money and handed over what was needed. We have some drips, but not all. However, we are facing challenges.
Kero mama kwa wauguzi ni eneo la kupumzikia pale mvua inaponyesha.
We will communicate with the relevant authority to see how we can provide a place for those of you coming to take care of the sick.
Tujaribu kuona namna gani tunajenga banda la kutosha hapa ndani ili nyinyi wakina mama mnapokuja kuuguza hapa basi muwe na sehemu nzuri ya kupumzika.
President of France Emmanuel Macron has congratulated Tanzania for being declared a middle-income country, a feat that has been achieved 5 years ahead of schedule. This was stated in a congratulatory letter from the French president, handed over by the ambassador of France to Tanzania, Frederick Clavier, to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Professor Palabagamba Kabudi, in Dar es Salaam.
I gave to His Excellency the letter of a French president to President Magufuli to congratulate the president for the electoral process and to say it's a new page which is now open to boost the bilateral relations, but also to sustain the new middle-income country status of Tanzania, for which we do consider that it's very important today to work together so that in the idea that Tanzania is a platform for the business, for infrastructure in this part of Africa.
Hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais ya ufunguzi wa bunge la 12 la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
The President's speech to open the 12th Parliament of United Republic of Tanzania, some of the key areas he spoke about. One is to increase investment, and secondly is participation of the private sector in the growth of the economy.
Fanya sekta binafsi kuwa injini ya kuendeleza uchumi wa Tanzania.
Mbeya region has started to implement a program that wants those who found with HIV positive to name those who have had sexual relation with so that they can be tested, being measures taken to control further spread of HIV.
If someone is infected with BVU, he provides us with a list of names of those he has been in contact with so that they are traced and get tested. All stakeholders must come up with a plan and bylaws so we control the spread of the virus.
As I said earlier, tunafanya mradi wa prevention ambao uko kwenye
We have a prevention program and work with other stakeholders.
Kazi na RMO rasi ofisi zote za mikoa aliyotangulia kuisema na haswa masuala makubwa ya maambukizi.
And that is the end of the national news. International news comes next after the break. And in international news, Deputy President of Kenya, William Ruto, now wants the Building Bridges Initiative BBI referendum to be held in 2022 alongside the general election to allow for consensus building as well as to save on public funds.
About reducing the current members of parliament from 600. And I have told you the proposal we are putting on the table in whatever form will bring down that number from the number that is being proposed under the BBI arrangement. A minimum of 60 MPs will be slashed out by adopting the proposal we have made, even if we nominate the rest of the women to fill the 2/3 gender rule. So our proposal from the start will cut down the number of MPs that is being proposed currently in the BBI document. That's number one. We can even reduce it further, the size of parliament. We can even reduce the size of parliament further if we have a discussion about Article 81. Yeah? So that's the position. And then finally, you always want to go to this yes, no.
Hii ndio sababu sisi tunataka kuleta legacy. What Uhuru and Raila want to bequeath the generation coming of Kenyans. It's a Kenya that is united, a Kenya that is liberated, and a Kenya that is advanced. Kenya ambayo you have laid a firm foundation for economic takeoff. That is what we want to do. Hii ni sababu tunafanya hii. Na tumesema tutafanya kama Wakenya watatembea pamoja na sisi. Mko tayari? Mko tayari?
Hello, Thomas. The month of Christmas is finally here, but it seems it won't be the same as usual this year with the current coronavirus situation. How are Germans preparing for this festive season?
It will certainly be a different Christmas here in Germany to start with. Most of Germany's typical Christmas markets, and some of them are famous around the world, have been cancelled in order to avoid big gatherings. Most cultural events have also been banned, and there are also restrictions for people who want to shop for Christmas presents in person. All this does not mean, however, that Germans will not be able to celebrate and spend time with their relatives. Up to 10 people, excluding children, will be allowed to meet during the most important Christmas days.
And if we look beyond Germany, what is the situation in other European countries? Are leaders coordinating their response in any way?
Well, essentially, each European country has been planning how it will react, and this depends on the local coronavirus numbers. But at the same time, there are areas like tourism or like traveling, which are certainly a general cross-border concern. I'll give you one example, skiing. It is a tradition in many parts of the continent, but ski resorts were behind many of the infections during the first wave of the pandemic. The topic was divisive in Europe in the last few days, with some countries preferring to keep ski lifts closed and others leaning towards allowing the activity.
There is also a lot of focus on possible vaccine. How is Europe preparing for the rollout once it is approved?
There is certainly hope that governments could start to distribute the vaccine in December, pending obviously all necessary requirements. The UK, for example, said on Wednesday that it had approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and that it would be rolled out from next week. In Germany, there is hope that it will be rolled out soon, and priority will be given to high-risk groups and healthcare workers. The vaccine is said to be distributed mainly through around 60 massive vaccination centers spread out across the country.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for the update. Until next time. That is the end of the international news. Business comes next after the break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production. Infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
The Director of Industrial Development from the Ministry of Industry and Trade, Ramson Mwilangali, has called on industry owners in the country to collaborate in order to facilitate production activities and speed up the growth of industries.
We conduct a research to establish where to source materials from and where to begin from.
Mwaka 2017
In 2017, our company, after research, came up with a plan to make these boxes in support of the government's policy on industrialization.
Tunaangalia utaalamu katika maeneo mengi. Kwa hiyo,
in addition to having experts who give advice where the need is greater, we're happy to work with small and big investors.
Ambalo mahitaji ni makubwa katika kuendeleza uchumi wetu.
Motorists in Dar es Salaam have said that falling petrol and diesel prices announced by the Energy and Water Regulatory Authority will lead to a reduction of transport costs. However, retail fuel sellers have said declining fuel prices have incurred them losses.
Despite corona challenges, the price of coffee this year is still high. Production and quality is up and there is better participation.
Bei mwaka huu imeongezeka kuliko mwaka jana, pamoja na changamoto tulizokuwa nazo ni katika uongezekaji wa ubora.
Oil palm farmers in Kasulu district, Goma region have urged the government to ensure companies which produce oil palm seed increase production and lower prices so that farmers can access them and become more productive.
Our need is still great. There are people who would like to cultivate up to 5 hectares. We had a duty to give feedback on the job we were assigned by the Prime Minister. We have seedlings for anyone who will be in need. We are well prepared to make palm tree farming as popular as other crops.
And that is the end of business news. Sports comes next after the break.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's been dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's been dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Joaquinho, he did lose to Lynn.
And in sports, the national under-20 team has finished second in the CECAFA under-20 competition after losing by 4-1 to Uganda. Despite the loss, Pascal Mshindo emerged the player of the competition, with Abdul Suleiman being the top scorer. A man in Kenya lost his life at Kinamba Center along the Naivasha-Kirima Road after allegedly mocking Arsenal fans after their 2-1 loss at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers FC last weekend. Here's the story.
In the absence of the top scorer, Raul Jimenez, who was injured early on, Wolves scored through Pedro Neto, and although Gabriel briefly headed Arsenal level, the visitors claimed they deserved 3 points through Daniel Potens's superbly taken 42nd-minute winner. It was a third straight loss at home for the 13-time English champions. A witness who has been identified as Peter went on to explain what transpired between those involved before unfortunate incident. The argument degenerated into name-calling, and the deceased was chased out of the bar and later attacked and left unconscious, he revealed.
Pep Guardiola said no team can take qualifications for the Champions League knockout stages for granted after Manchester City secured a seeded place for the last 16. Here are more details.
City's 0-0 draw at Porto means his side will top Group C with a game to spare after reaching the knockout draw for an 8th successive season. But with European giants Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Inter and last year's semi-finalist RB Leipzig all facing an early exit, Guardiola says qualification is not as easy as people expect. City have one final group game against Marseille next Wednesday, which comes just 3 days before the Manchester derby. With nothing riding on the fixture, it gives Guardiola the opportunity to rest players for the trip to Old Trafford. But with close to a full squad fully fit, he says he will pick a strong side to beat the League One side, who won their first game in 13 attempts against Olympiacos on Tuesday.
Nico Williams and Curtis Jones made Liverpool history when they combined for the winning goal in the 1-0 win against Ajax in the Champions League. Here's more.
The Reds booked their place in the last 16 of the competition when Williams' cross was met at the back post by Jones to knock into the visitors' net. It is the first time two teenagers have combined to score Champions League goal for the Anfield side. as the Liverpool team, missing several big names including Virgil van Dijk, Thiago Alcantara and James Milner, managed to find their way to a crucial victory. 19-year-old Jones is now the third youngest Liverpool player to find the net in European Premier League competition, with only David Gog and Trent Alexander-Arnold having struck at an earlier age.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. Thank you for watching and good night.